Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Lovers for a new video viral. Before we begin, let me ask you one question. Can something truly come to an end when its traces are still so vividly alive? The second season of Are You Sure? Has officially come to a close, but this ending was not born from exhaustion, let alone failure. It arrived only after enduring a relentless storm, non-stop criticism, systematic attempts to bring it down, mass reporting campaigns, and even efforts to erase it as if the show had never existed. And yet they failed, because when a story connects with its audience through honesty, not cheap drama, not forced conflict, no collective outcry can bury it. In this video, we're not going to treat Are You Sure? As light entertainment. We're going to dissect it, slowly, honestly, without looking away. Because the longer this show is discussed, one conclusion becomes increasingly impossible to avoid. This is not the end, and perhaps it was never meant to be an end at all. What's interesting is that Are You Sure? Never shouted for attention. It didn't sell drama. It didn't rely on conflict. From the very beginning, its strength rested on one simple yet irreplaceable thing: the natural dynamic between Jimin and Jungkook. A closeness that cannot be fabricated. An intimacy impossible to sustain for hours if it were fake. A sense of comfort that only emerges when togetherness is desired, not imposed. And perhaps that is exactly what unsettled some people. Because in every episode, unintentionally, the show kept presenting the same evidence. When Jimin and Jungkook are together, there is no stiffness, no distance, no excessive caution. What exists instead is something that feels domestic, everyday, almost intimate, traveling together, sleeping in the same place, wandering through cities without a grand agenda, sharing silence. None of it feels like content. It feels like a routine they've long been familiar with. This is where the contradiction of the detractors begins. While they insist that Are You Sure? Has truly ended, the content of the show itself whispers, and sometimes speaks loudly, of the opposite. Many have labeled the second season a definitive ending. No more trips, no future seasons. But to maintain that narrative, they have to ignore Jungkook's own words, repeated across different seasons, in different moments. Let's go back to the beginning. Season 1. Without pressure, without a script, without a joking tone that could be dismissed. Jungkook said he wanted to film 12 seasons with Jimin. 12. He even added that he wanted to keep filming, even when they're 50 years old. That was not the voice of someone being forced, not the tone of someone uncomfortable. It was the voice of someone who had found a safe space. And if anyone tried to convince themselves it was just fleeting hyperbole, Season 2 shattered that illusion. Because Jungkook didn't just say he enjoyed the show. He showed it, through relaxed body language, consistent enthusiasm, genuine emotional engagement. No coldness, no distance. Everything flowed naturally. Something that can only happen when someone is exactly where they want to be with the person they want to be with. All of it culminated in the final episode. An episode some tried to force into a farewell, when it felt far more like a postponed promise. Because instead of talking about endings, they talked about the future. Jimin said firmly, "This is not the end of this show." No hesitation. No maybe. Jungkook responded with caution, not denial. And when Jimin reaffirmed it, Jungkook didn't argue. They were in sync, on the same page, as if they both knew. This isn't finished, they're just pausing. Then came Busan, not as a vague idea, but as an emotional necessity. We have to go to Busan for Are You Sure? The word have speaks volumes. It wasn't an option, it was a need. Busan wasn't just a destination. It was roots, identity, a space they wanted to share together. And from there, the thread continued beyond the screen, into real life. Some time later, social media erupted again. This time not because of an episode, but because of Switzerland. Within days, detail after detail surfaced about Jimin and Jungkook during their time there. What began as light rumors slowly became impossible to ignore. The trigger was simple, a video Jimin uploaded. He was dancing in a warm, relaxed room. But what shook people wasn't the visuals, it was Jungkook's laughter behind the camera. Clear, natural, undeniable. Then their hotel was revealed, the Dolder Grand Zurich. A hotel synonymous with extreme privacy, exclusivity, and top-tier security. More than that, it's known for being LGBTQ+-friendly and for working with inclusive wedding planning platforms. It's difficult to see that choice as a coincidence. The Dolder Grand isn't a spontaneous pick. It requires planning, reservations made far in advance. All of this points to a consciously arranged trip with one primary goal: comfort, privacy, and the freedom to be together. Their activities reflected the same thing. Night walks, feeding swans, walking side by side without excessive exposure. There was even a witness at Zurich's Love Bridge, a symbol of eternal love, who chose not to disturb them, simply letting the moment remain as it was. And that's where its power lies. Not in poses, not in content, but in presence. When all these pieces are put together, a larger pattern becomes unmistakable. After military service, their choice remained the same: to stay together, to walk side by side, to keep creating memories. Which brings the question into focus: did they record something? The minimal staff suggests that if there was filming, it wasn't a major production. Maybe just a vlog, a visual journal, a small, honest documentation, not meant to be showcased, but to be kept. And perhaps that's where the true meaning lies. Are you sure? May have stopped at a certain point, but the story behind it, the safe space, the journey, the togetherness, is clearly not over. Because some things never truly end. They simply keep moving together. And once all the pieces are connected, are you sure? Busan, Switzerland, the laughter behind the camera, the choice of places, the steps always taken side by side. One truth becomes clear. What ended was only a season. Not the togetherness. Not the safe space. Not the journey they chose to keep walking together. Some stories aren't closed with the word finished. They simply pause before taking the next step. And perhaps that is the deepest meaning of all this. Are you sure? Was never about cameras, episodes, or a show title. It was about two people finding comfort in each other's presence, on screen and in real life. If you feel the same way, if this story also lives in your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Because as long as the story is still being talked about, as long as its traces can still be felt, this isn't over. They're just continuing to walk together.